Welcome back, everyone. If someone failed your proposal twice, would you still kneel a third time? Tonight's story is one of the most emotional chapters in the entire James and Diep universe. A rich man who has everything, a girl who sells oranges at the village market, and a love that somehow survived rejection, not once, but twice. But what happened on that hilltop at sunset? What James did, and what Diep finally confessed, changed everything between them. If this touches your heart, don't forget to subscribe so you won't miss the next chapter. The crimson sunset spilled across the late afternoon sky as James's car eased into the edge of the bustling village market. The engine hummed softly before he switched it off. Vendors were packing up their stalls. Children ran past with leftover snacks, and the warm smell of grilled corn drifted through the fading heat of the day. James stepped out, scanning the familiar rows until he spotted her. Diep. She was crouched beside her little orange stall, tying the last bag of fruit with tired, practiced hands. Her apron carried the smell of sun-baked citrus. Her hair, messy from the long day, caught the sunset like strands of bronze. She looked so small among the crates and baskets, yet so bright, like a flame that refused to go out. James walked over quietly. She looked up, surprised, then smiled faintly. "You came early today," she said, brushing dust off her apron. "I sold out. Just finished packing up." James took a crate from her hands before she could protest. "Let me help." "You don't have to," she laughed softly, though she didn't stop him. He loaded the crates into the trunk. Diep wiped sweat from her forehead, letting out a long breath, the kind that comes after pushing through exhaustion with pure willpower. "All right," she said, voice gentle. "Let's go home." But James didn't open the car door. Instead, he reached for her hand. "Come with me," he said quietly. Diep blinked, confused. "Huh? Aren't we going home?" "Later," he murmured. "Just come." There was something unusual in his voice, a mix of determination and trembling fear. And without fully understanding why, she followed. They got into the car. James drove slowly at first, navigating the narrow market road, passing the fading chatter of vendors closing shop. Then he took a turn she didn't recognize, a dirt road leading upward toward the old hill behind the village. Diep frowned, watching the market disappear behind them. "James, where are we going?" "You'll see," he said, his tone soft but heavy with meaning. The climb was quiet except for the crunch of gravel under the tires and the wind brushing against the windows. When they reached the top, James parked near the ridge. The car door creaked open, and cool evening air rushed in. He helped her out, then led her toward the edge of the hill. And there it was. Below them, the entire settlement glittered, little houses lighting up one by one, forming a patchwork of soft golden dots. Lanterns flickered in front yards. Smoke curled gently from kitchen chimneys. It looked like a fairy tale village tucked inside a bowl of fading sunset. Diep gasped. "James, why bring me here?" For a moment, he didn't answer. He just watched her, really watched her, the way the wind carried loose strands of her hair, the exhaustion in her eyes softened by the sunset's glow, the quiet determination in her posture, even after a long day at the market. Then, in a voice barely louder than the breeze, he said, "Because from here, we can see our whole world." Her brow knitted softly, but before she could speak, he continued, And because there's something I've been too afraid to say for too long. Diep's heartbeat quickened. His hand tightened around hers, warm, trembling, full of something heavy and unspoken. The last birds of the day flew overhead, calling out as if they were singing the final lullaby of dusk. Shadows stretched long behind them, merging into one shape on the ground. James drew in a shaky breath. Then he let go of her hand only long enough to drop to one knee. Diep's breath vanished. His fingers shook as he pulled a small red velvet box from his pocket. The rings inside caught the faint sunlight, scattering tiny sparks into the air. "The last 2 times I proposed," he said quietly, "you weren't ready." He looked up at her, eyes filled with fear, hope, love, and something deeply fragile. "This time, I'm not proposing." Diep's eyes widened, tears already pooling. "I'm just putting it on first," he whispered. He lifted her left hand, gently, reverently, as if she were something fragile, something sacred. Then he slid the ring onto her finger. It fit perfectly. Diep let out a sob, covering her mouth with her other hand as tears streamed down her cheeks. "James, I'm ready now," she stammered. "I'm ready to be your wife. I'm so sorry for rejecting you before." A final ray of sunlight pierced the tiny diamond, scattering a faint rainbow across James's cheek. His breath hitched. His voice broke. "Thank you." The wind surged around them as if the sky itself were embracing both of them, lifting the weight of years of hesitation and fear. Diep pulled him up, and he wrapped his arms around her. They held each other tightly, 2 silhouettes trembling beneath a vast sky. Diep rested her cheek against his chest, feeling his heartbeat pounding like it was trying to escape. "Let's take things slow," she whispered. "I'm about to open my company. I'll be so busy. Let's marry when things settle." But James held her tighter, voice raw. "I'm scared we'll miss our chance again, like the last 2 times. Diep, I don't want to lose you." She cupped his face gently. "This time," she said softly, firmly, "even if it's years from now, I'll still say yes. I'll never reject you again." Below them, the village lights shimmered softly, like tiny stars ignited for their promise. The world stood still. The wind carried their heartbeats into the dusk. The sky slowly shifted from crimson to deep violet, and the first stars began slipping into view. Diep and James remained on the hilltop, their silhouettes gently swaying with the wind, as if afraid to break the fragile moment that had just unfolded. James drew a shaky breath, pulling her in closer, as though anchoring himself. His cheek rested on her forehead, and for a long while, neither of them said a word. Their hearts spoke instead, loud, trembling, and full. Eventually, Diep pulled back a little, wiping her tears with the back of her hand. Her eyes were still glassy, yet there was a steady glow in them now. Something resolute, something accepting. "James," she whispered, "I don't want you to feel insecure anymore." He swallowed hard. "I'm trying, but I'm scared." "Of me?" she asked softly. "Of losing you," he admitted. "Twice already, you said no. I keep thinking, what if you change your mind again? What if the world, your dreams, your business, your future, doesn't have space for me?" His confession trembled out of him, like it had been waiting years for release. Diep touched his chest, right where his heart raced wildly beneath her fingertips. "There will always be space for you," she said. "But I want to stand on my own feet too. I want to build something I can be proud of, not just as your wife, but as myself. James sighed, eyes softening with understanding and a quiet ache. I know, and I want that for you. I really do. They sat down on the dry grass, the lights below twinkling like a field of fireflies. James leaned back on his hands. Diep hugged her knees to her chest. The night breeze gently tugged at their clothes, carrying the faint scent of earth, cooling after a long day. I was terrified today, James said after a moment, voice barely above a whisper. On the drive here, I kept rehearsing the words, then forgetting them, then rehearsing again. Diep laughed quietly, a small, warm sound, and you still managed to surprise me. I didn't want to propose and hear you say no again, he confessed. So I just did it. Slid the ring on before you could run. She nudged him with her shoulder. I wasn't going to run. You say that now. I'm serious, she said. I've changed. I really have. James looked at her, truly looked, seeing the determination etched into her expression, the exhaustion from selling oranges all day, the quiet fire that pushed her to open her own company, the stubbornness that had kept her independent for years. He realized he loved every version of her, even the ones that scared him. Wind rustled the grass around them. Somewhere far below, a dog barked, then quietened. The world felt small, gentle, suspended. James, Diep said suddenly, softer this time. Do you know why I rejected you before? He waited. Because I was scared too, she continued. You're a rich man. You have everything. And I'm just a girl selling oranges in the market. I didn't want people to say I clung to you for money. I didn't want your father to think I wasn't worthy. James's jaw tightened. The mention of his father made the air shift. Colder, heavier. Diep noticed. I know he hates me, she whispered. He doesn't know you, James snapped, emotion tightening his voice. He judges without looking. I hate that. Diep rested her hand on his arm. He's your father. I'm not asking him to love me. I'm just asking, let's build our own life first. Let me grow my small business. Let me feel confident standing next to you. Let me prove to myself that I'm not with you because of what you have. James closed his eyes for a moment, letting her words soak into him. You don't have to prove anything to me, he said. But I have to prove something to myself, she replied. The honesty between them hung like a trembling thread, delicate, real, unfiltered. Then James turned, lifting her hand with the ring. He kissed it gently. Okay, he said. We'll wait. We'll do it your way. Diep smiled, eyes softening. Thank you. The night deepened. Stars multiplied across the sky, shining like tiny blessings overhead. Diep leaned her head onto James's shoulder. He wrapped an arm around her automatically. They watched as the village lights flickered below, tiny constellations dancing on the earth. You know, James murmured, one day, when your company is thriving and your schedule finally calms down, I'm going to propose properly again. Diep's smile widened. Propose as many times as you want. I'll say yes every single time. James laughed, the kind of laugh that comes from relief, joy, and the warmth of a future suddenly opening. Silence settled around them, but it wasn't empty. It was full of promises, fears slowly dissolving, dreams beginning to entwine. After a while, James stood and dusted off his pants. Come on, he said, offering his hand. Let's go home. Diep took it, rising slowly. The hilltop wind tugged gently at their clothes, swirling around them like a quiet blessing. Before heading back, she paused for a moment, turning her hand under the moonlight. The ring glimmered, small, simple, but carrying the weight of devotion. She whispered, almost to herself, "Feels like destiny." James squeezed her hand. "It is." They walked back to the car, side by side, step by step. The headlights cut through the darkness as the engine rumbled to life. The hill slowly disappeared behind them, but the feeling it left, the promise forged there, followed them like a guiding light. And as the car moved down the winding path, the narrator's voice gently fades in. No matter how fiercely his father opposes, no matter how dark their pasts are, James and Diep have made their vow. They will walk forward together. Fade out. Rings glimmer. Night swallows the hill. James drives to the village market to pick Diep up after her long day of selling oranges. But instead of taking her home, he brings her to a quiet hill overlooking the glowing lights of their small village, a place he chose for something he'd been too afraid to say. There, under the fading sunset, James doesn't kneel to propose again. Instead, he quietly slips the ring onto her finger, terrified that if he asked a third time, she might say no once more. Diep breaks down in tears, finally admitting she's ready, that the two rejections before came from fear, insecurity, and the pressure of his wealthy family. They hold each other as night falls, promising to move slowly, to grow together, and never let fear pull them apart again. That night, they make a vow. No matter the past, no matter the father's disapproval, they will walk forward, side by side.